Hi, everybody. Mary Long here with Plein Air Painters Chicago. And tonight is a wonderful critique with Stephanie Weidner, who is going to be our critic tonight. So Stephanie, will you talk about kind of what you're going to be looking for today, and maybe even introduce yourself a little bit? I know people know you, but we have a few people that are new, and Stephanie is one of our founders, and with Errol was running the group. When I came on the group, she and Errol were doing all this. Stephanie was doing all the exhibits, everything. So she has a lot of history with us. But Stephanie, talk a little bit more about your background and also what you'll be looking for tonight.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Stephanie Weidner, and I'm a member of the Palette and Chisel, and I've been painting with the Plein Air Painters Chicago since 2007, I think. And so I started painting at the Palette and Chisel, 2006, well, it's 6 or 7, it doesn't matter. But I started painting with the Palette and Chisel, taking one of their classes, and then joined the Plein Air Painters group when Scott Tallman Powers was involved in it. I wasn't one of the founders, but I was one of the maintainers. I helped maintain the group and keep it going, like when Scott left and we needed momentum. And I was one of the people that helped bring it to the Palette and Chisel so that it had a new life by itself. So my background, I had some art training because I studied architecture. So I was a lot of drawing, a little bit of painting, but it wasn't until Errol, my partner, for those who don't know, Errol Jacobson, started going, he had taken painting and did a lot of painting before, but he had a gap, and he went back to the Palette and Chisel and started painting. And I was critiquing his paintings and things, and he goes, well, if you can critique my paintings, maybe you should take a course too. So I became teachable. I'm not always teachable, but I went ahead and took some classes, and I've learned a lot. And you'll probably hear me reference some of the things I learned from some of the teachers. So I like to do plein air painting, and I do still life, whereas Errol does plein air painting, and then he does large urban scapes in the studio. So we share a studio together. So anything else?
I think just really talk about what you're going to be looking for tonight. And when you critique, how do you think about that?
Well, okay. So when I critique, I want to find something that I really appreciate in each painting. So, but as a critic, I sort of feel like I have to look for something that maybe I would improve upon. It doesn't mean that your painting, that anything's wrong with your painting. It's just that I have a different view on it. Now, you don't have to agree with me, so please keep that in mind. And but I'll probably try to say something that if it were my painting, I would want to improve upon. But everybody's paintings and styles are different. And for example, there's a lot of watercolor, and I don't do watercolor. So what I might be saying may not be appropriate, but I'll try to keep it. So I look at, some of the things I look at are value, temperature, edges, color and chroma, even reflected light, because I noticed in this, because we have the water, so there's reflected light. I get reflected light when I do still lifes. Drawing, composition, perspective, that's a big one. And so I studied architecture, so I learned a lot about perspective. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I see that people look like they're on the 3rd story of a building when they're not. Their drawing makes them look like they were on the 3rd floor of a building across the street, and so they have to change their horizon line. And then also look at what the objective is, or the focus point, or what the painting's about. Like, why did you paint this? What do you want us to look at? So those are some of the things. And then I also did a little research today, because we have water. And I know that when something's light and it reflects in the water, it will be darker in the water. When something's dark and it reflects into the water, it won't be as dark as it is in reality. So the breadth of the values are tighter when you're painting in water. So the sky won't be as vibrant in the water as it might be. And usually the sky is the lightest. Once in a while, the water or the ground or snow would be brighter than the sky, but normally the sky is lighter. So, and also things get muted. There's not as much detail in the water. So, and there aren't as many hard edges. So those are some of the things that I've noticed in the paintings that we have for tonight's critique.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead and start sharing if you like.
All right.
We've
Here we
got,
go.
I think we said somewhere around 25 paintings or so. So
Right. So I'm going to start with, bear with me. Okay. So this is one, it's by Richard Laurent, and I don't think he's here. He has two paintings, so I'm going to talk briefly about this one. It's a landscape. What I love about it is I love the vibrant yellow greens contrasted with the violets. I mean, it just really does something for me. The one thing, although I like paints scratched out, he has some, oh, you can't see my, let me get my annotation thing. So although see down here, he's got paint that's scratched out, but it doesn't reflect, like, I don't see reeds right above it. It doesn't make sense, but I normally really like that. He's got some in the woods that I like, and for some of the branches. But what I would suggest on this one is, if he wants to take us back to the back of it, maybe darken this whole area a little bit. But it really is a lovely painting. One other comment is the viridian. It's a sort of more of a viridian green. It sort of is out of harmony with the other colors that are the yellow, green, and the violets. But I think it's just a lovely little composition, and I love some of the colors and the softness of it. Okay, all right, clear all drawings, okay. So, oh, I have to get back to my mouse, okay. All right, I'm on a roll now. Okay, and this one is Elena's. So
Yes,
oh, you're here. Okay, so it's very interesting, and the style is completely different than mine. I sort of appreciate the energy in the painting. There's a lot of vibrancy in the paint strokes. Now, you may or may not want to calm it down. It reminded me a little bit of, who's the artist that did Dorian Gray painting at the Art Institute, you know, with the strokes.
Ivan Albrecht.
Okay.
Ivan Albrecht. Yes.
Right. And it sort of reminded me of that, although it's just because of the paints. When I think of it, I don't know if it really does remind me of it, but something about it with the paint strokes. Now, having said that, I think there's some really, I don't know what you want us to look at. I mean, we've got the bush in front, and we've got some objects. We've got some objects here, like this box and this
conditioner.
Oh, it's an air conditioner, and maybe you do or don't want it in there. But what I've seen is you've got these lovely flowers, the purple ones and the yellow ones and the pink ones, and maybe that's what this is about. And if so, I think you need to soften the background and pop the flowers so they stand out. And you know, but you have to decide what's this about. Like, I don't necessarily see a difference between the leaves in front and the siding in the back. So, and you can do that with edges or with color. But having said that, Errol and I are going to be going to the Cleveland Art Museum to see Bonnard and Vuillard's paintings, and they paint very flat, almost like quilts sometimes. So, you know, I don't think there's a right or wrong. Elena, is there something you wanted us to look at or in this painting?
I would like to show a lot of flowers, and we have all here, and some jasmine is white, and I try to combine all together with another our flowers, sorry.
Okay, all right. So yeah, and I think that you could pop the flowers. These are sort of, I know flowers grow the same height, but they're, maybe you would vary them or the depth. And the rocks in front, great job painting the rocks.
Thank you.
However, they might serve as a barrier to getting into the painting. except they're low enough. I don't think they really do, but you might vary their positions a little bit. But
You
yeah.
want I take it out of this one, this roses and rose flowers, pink crowns, or these flowers? I don't know.
Oh, I think I would just pop the colors if you really want us to see them, pop the colors and soften whatever behind them. And I think that you would see more of the flowers. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So, okay. And we've got Kuhn's painting, right? Kuhn, are you here?
Yes,
know
I
you're
am
here.
here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. I'm going to do this. So Kuhn, this is a great nocturne. You know, I really like let me just get my drawing tool up. I love the yellow light. Look at this. It's uplit. I can tell. Look at it against that purple sky. It looks really nice. It's really well done. Now, on the right-hand side, you see this over this direction? I don't know if there's a glare on the photograph or the lighting just changed, but it looks like the lighting's different. Do you know what I mean? Because it looks like there might be white in that, or there might be a glare on the photo. I know sometimes nocturnes are hard to photograph. But I'm wondering if the yellow light continued over here, then it might be more interesting. So
Okay.
on the left-hand side, there's a lot of hard edges and contrast, and your eye will go to where there's hard edges and contrast. I think I would just take the leaves and extend them out. You might have a few lights popping through, but but I don't know that you want our eye going there. But you know, I think, yeah, but I love the way you brought attention to the water tower. If you want us to see the people more, I think I would up the contrast on it. But but otherwise, I just I like nocturnes, and I especially like the way you got the uplighting on this. So, and I love the contrast with the blue purple sky and the yellow.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. So here we have Ishan, and I don't know if Ishan's here.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. And it's a watercolor, and forgive me, but I don't do a lot of watercolor. So no. So I just, there's a lot I really like about this. I love, let me get my tool. I love the bright, you know, the sun on this wall. It really pops. And I love the shadow over here, the cool shadow. You did a great job conveying that. And I can see the difference between this wall and this wall. I know which one the sun's hitting, and I see the sun back here. What's interesting is you chose to draw, I know the shadow was like this for a while, this little strip of shadow, and maybe it came from the bridge. I don't know, but I saw it on there, but I waited for the shadow to change because I was afraid the little strip of shadow was confusing to the viewer of the painting. So just want you to think about that you're the artist and you can edit it. And maybe that means drawing the shadow here and all the way down here, or bringing the light down farther. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. You're on mute, Ishan. So, but
Yes,
I love.
Yes, I do. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, but this, you're the artist, so you decide. But I remember, and I did it on one painting back here. I don't know, well, anyway, where I put that strip, but I made it bigger and more defined. I love the way you used the darker leaves, the darker vegetation to create the architecture. Do you know what I mean? And so you could have perhaps done a little bit more on that. This one, the dark over here, the only problem I have is it's maybe a little too dark, and it's sort of ends at this line. So there's a tangent. I might carry it over. so that it's not, doesn't create such a tangent. But yeah, I love the softness of the trees and how you created the architecture down there with the boats in front. So, okay, all right. Any comments or questions? Otherwise I'll move on.
No, is the water value, is it like too light?
Well, that's, you might do it a little darker because you did create shadows over, why can't I do the shadows under the boat, but you might have been able to create more shadow or if you'd done the water darker, you might have been able to create more reflections of the boats. I know the water was pretty dark that day. It doesn't bother me, but yeah, you could have made it darker. So, but, it doesn't, I think it works. So, my eye goes to this darkness contrasted with the light and the tangent, and maybe a little here, maybe, I don't know. And I don't know if this is a person. It almost looks like a person that's maybe too big. But I love the way you use a loose brush to create the different walls, one in shadow and one in sun. And look at how nice a job on these windows. There's very little detail on the windows, but I know there's windows in that building, especially back here. I know there's windows there, but I don't see them. And so it's really effective that way. So, okay. So this is Marcy's. So Marcy, it looks, I think you were a little farther east on the river than I was, because you've got more of the tribune tower. You've got the buttresses on both sides. So it's very similar to my painting. Let me just point out my overall feeling of the painting. I mean, I love you did the building, you got the tribune tower in, you got the other buildings in. I think I think you accomplished probably what you wanted to accomplish. You wanted the flag as a primary focus. I think all right. So a couple things. You use a lot of blue now, and so I'm not getting like hot versus cool. You can unmute Marcy if you want to. So, but I think you use a lot of blue. Now I've seen some of your paintings that are even bluer, but I'm not getting a real sense of hot on this on the front of the Wrigley Building, or maybe, on this. Now that might be distracting if that's too hot, but I know it was a sunnier day most of the day. So it looks sort of overcast, but the sky looks sort of blue. So I'm a little confused about what kind of day it is. Okay.
I think Marcy's having problems unmuting. I think
Okay.
she's stuck.
All right.
I think she
Oh,
won there.
I
she
got
is.
it. Now can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I do have too much blue into it. The other thing is, when I take my pictures too, my images, they all tend to look blue. So I need to figure out how to more correctly.
and you could probably adjust them even in your camera to look more like you see in person.
Right.
So, like
But
on your phone.
I
So
still needed to push it. Now, what
Yeah.
about, I ended up with so little river. You'd never know this was on the river.
Well, that's what's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know what size this panel is. Oh, it's 14 by 11.
Yeah.
So
Right.
maybe, with this building, you could do a custom size that's much taller and narrower. And I think too, if you backed away, go farther west on the walk, you would have less of this building, less of the tribune tower. So your eye focuses more on the Wrigley Building.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a little bit
True.
massive. It's a little bit massive. It's a little bit warm. Your eye will go to something warm. And I mean, I love the buttresses. And I think you could simplify the lines in here, like just pick a few lines to pop and make your point about the verticals in the Tribune.
Mhm.
So the other thing is, if you heat this side up of the building, you may not need to cool off this side. But you have to
Oh,
heat that up
okay.
first to decide whether that side needs to be cooler.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I remember you shortening the Wrigley Building. And I think sometimes we just have to do that. And I could have squished the Tribune building too, just as easily.
Well, I think if you back up, if you went further west, you don't see that much of the Tribune building. I think you painted what you saw.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
and then decide, do you want all these dark hard edges over here, or maybe cut the painting, or soften those? Maybe they become just sort of darker blurs. Let's see.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you have to sort of decide about that. But and then I think your trees could be darker.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about trees when we get to some other images. But I like painting the trees dark, paint the dark part, and then the medium part, and then the bright part. So when we get to a landscape, we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, and this one's Deborah Page Jackson. I know she's here. Hello, Deborah.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, I think this is a beautiful painting, and and I want you to look at this. She did all of this by 9:30.
Oh,
So, I think it's really well done, and I'm not a big watercolorist, but it's got detail in it, but not too much detail. I don't know. I really like it. So I'm going to be really picky about just a couple of things that I see. One is, I don't know where you were on the walkway, but you've got this line here of the Tribune Tower. I mean, Tribune Tower. And I'm not sure if it's part of this or if it should be like this, a different angle. I'm a little confused about that, because if it's on the same, if it's the same wall, okay, then maybe the value would be the same. I'm not sure. I'm a little confused, but that's relatively minor. Okay, but I like the way this area is dark, so it sets off the Wrigley Building. So, and maybe you did that intentionally for that purpose. Okay, so now my comments on the flag are going to be pretty minor, because I just love the fact that you chose to paint the top of the building. And there should be this is really minor, there should be a red stripe, right? No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it should end there. But you've got too many stripes on the right hand side. That part should start with a red stripe. And the thing is that, so maybe the blue is wider, but it should end with a red stripe. And what I find detracting are these dark parts on each side of the building, because it's really the building behind that, and I wanted it to look like the building. Was there something dark on either side of it?
no, well, the windows. And so you're right. You're exactly right. I'm looking at the picture.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right about the stripe.
It ends in a red one, because I know I counted. It's like 6 on the right and then 7 underneath the blue. Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right, especially about the light.
Yeah.
It's the window, and
Yeah.
that one area, I should have made it lighter.
And it just creates these dead spaces on either side of the flag. Now, this is really minor, but my eye went there. I wanted to look at the flag. I found the flag so interesting. I wanted to look at that. But look at the, what I love the softness of these windows, the detail. There's a lot, it's a really nice painting. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Oh, and here we have another watercolor. This is Barbara's. Are you there,
Hello.
Barbara?
Yes, I am.
Hello. Okay, I'm gonna move my thing so I can see your face. Oh, you're not, your picture isn't up there. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so, okay, I love watercolor with ink, and I think you did a really great job. So, and this is a fun painting. Look at, we've got the kayakers, we've got the kayakers down here. We've got the people. Look at these people. Look at the softness of these leaves with the hottest leaves on top. So it goes dark to light. Okay, and you did it on the trees without overly defining the leaves or the trees. They're really soft. You did a great job on the Wrigley Building. Look at these little windows. They're just little hash marks, but I see them as windows. And it's, you know, in the flag. Really nice job. Looks like you left out the, I didn't even notice this, but it looks like you left out the Tribune Tower.
I did. I left out one of the big buildings and put the trees in because it didn't fit on my paper. So I just left the building out.
Perfect, perfect. So
Yeah.
I don't know if from your view, you'd see the Tribune Tower with the buttresses.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, but I didn't,
Perfect.
it just,
and that's
it
what the
didn't
artist can do. So along those lines, here's my suggestion.
okay.
Okay, well, one, this building and this building had the same light on them essentially, except that this one caught some shadow, okay? But
Okay.
maybe you see the color of this wall, maybe you
Yeah.
apply it to this side of that building too. Okay?
Okay.
But, so that's really minor. But so here's the thing, your flag hits the top of this bridge. And
Oh,
this is really minor. I
Uh-huh.
would move the bridge down. You did a great job with perspective. I know you're close to the river, you know, but as you took other artistic liberties, look at these beautiful blues in here that you did with the buildings. But I think I would just move the bridge down. I don't think I'd shorten the flag. I'd move the bridge down just an inch so there's a gap between the flag and the bridge, because they're just sort of, it looks like the flag ends directly on the bridge. And I'm like, oh,
okay.
you know, I mean, that's really minor. But yeah, and if you wanted to soften these other buildings, you did it with color because they relate to the sky and the water. You did that. But if you wanted to soften these edges,
Okay.
you could utilizing the same tool that you did with the trees. You sort of did a skip. You sort of skipped with your pen.
Okay.
You know, so that the edges wouldn't be so hard. But I think that's pretty minor. It's a lovely painting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I love the people. Look at all these people. So, any questions or?
No, so you mean the flag? I see what you're saying where it stops at the top.
Yeah, I would just bring the bridge down a little bit so that there's some air for the flag. The flag is so important to this painting.
Yeah.
But you did, look at, I can see ripples in the flag. You used a little bit of blue wash in here to get ripples and a little bit of movement without overdoing it. It's really nice.
So should there be like a gap between the bottom of the flag and the top of the bridge?
Oh, because what would happen? All right, I wouldn't shorten the flag, but the flag is, it's going to be at a slight angle, right?
Okay, I see.
So, and then you move this, you'd have to move it down. So it's not going to be at the same, the bridge and the flag are at two different angles.
Okay.
But that's one of the first things I saw, that the flag just stopped at the bridge.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
No. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's a fun little painting.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
So this is Muriel's. Is Muriel here? Okay, no, Muriel, but
No,
I'm
I don't
gonna,
think she's here.
okay, all right, I'm gonna talk about this. I think I just love the water that Muriel did. Look at, I don't know if she did this with a knife or what, but look at the greens and then the turquoisey blue hitting it, and you start to get some of the reflection of the building. I think it's just beautiful. She did a really nice job putting all this architecture in, with the Wrigley Building and with the Tribune Tower. Look at, you see everything in this Tribune Tower without her having painted all of it. So a nice job with the trees, the darks and the greens over here. So now here's the thing. It looks, I don't know if the painting is about the building with the flag or about these people. So now you can have both in, but you know, if the painting's for the people, maybe I would just define them a little bit more, and you can do that several ways. I could make this tree dark and so that they pop forward. One thing I would probably do is this is a little bit of a distraction, this figure here. But you know, I think she did a great job on the people, on the perspective, you know, on the building. But I think where does my eye go? And I might soften this yellow too if I didn't want my eye to go over there, if I really wanted to focus on the people. But otherwise, we know it's that water taxi and it's that color. So anyway, Muriel's not here. So, but anyway, I'll move on. Okay. So this is Julie. It's a watercolor. Is Julie here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi, Julie.
Hi.
So really nice. I like the watercolors. You took some liberties and made the flag really, really huge, but that's okay. You know, that's what we do as artists. So the one thing I would probably do is define these buildings a little bit more, like take this west side of the Wrigley Building and put it in shadow. You know, assuming you were there at the same time we were, it was in shadow. And also this side.
Okay.
Okay. And then that means this side and this side would be in sunlight. So they were sort of parallel. Now this back one got some shadow. This back one got some shadow on it sometime. But basically it's facing the same direction as this front wall. So there were times when it was flooded with light and there were times when it had shadow cast on it. But I think the important part is which sides were getting most of the light and which sides were in shadow.
Okay.
So look at, I know that this building is the Tribune Tower. You know, I can look at all, there's nothing here, but I see it. You know what I'm talking about? You hinted at it and I see it. It could be a little cooler because warm things want to come forward. And I know
I did actually cool it off when I got home.
Oh, you did? You
Yeah.
did. Okay. I love these little people. Look at, I know they're just dots of color and I know they're people. Isn't that amazing that when we paint, we can, you know, put a little bit of, you know, these spots and they read as people. So I find that maybe this could have been, straightened out a little bit.
Yes,
You know,
I agree.
I don't know what I know, was there some sort of curve there? I don't know, but it was it
was confusing to me, but I think in real life there really kind of maybe wasn't. So.
Okay, all right. The curve makes it look a little it raises some questions in my mind, like, oh, is this a basin or
Yeah.
river? So, but I want to point out, like, look at how light this building is back here, and it reads. It's like you don't have to put much to say there's a building there. Isn't that great? You know, you really don't. So if you wanted, you could have like maybe softened this building back here too. But I love the way with watercolor, you just put a little wash there and you have a building. So it's really interesting. And I like the fact that you took liberties with the flag and you made it big, and because we know this painting's about the flag on that building. So, did you do that deliberately? Did you make it big deliberately?
No.
Okay. Well, sometimes we start painting and we have to adjust the building to match what we were painting, like the flag. I know. And I think some years I've made my flag too long, or, you know, and I even started reading, like, what are the proportions on flags? Is that flag really that's hanging? Is it really the right proportion? At one point I questioned it. It's like, I don't think it's the right proportion. I don't know, maybe it is.
Yeah.
But your flag's a lot of fun. So,
Thanks so much.
thanks. Okay, and this is Sue Whitney. Sue, are you here? No? Okay. So it's not of the river. So I think it's a beautiful little paint. I mean, I like the building and the fence and the flowers. It's really nice. So I love the colors of the flowers. We've got the blues and the lavender, the bright green, you know, some really not interesting things. So what I go to is, I know the sun is hitting this roof, and I know the sun isn't hitting this roof. My problem is there's like a difference between the color of the roof. Now, when sun's hitting it, there's a difference in temperature, there's a difference in value, but there should be some relationship between them in terms of color. And I don't get that here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a brown roof, it'll be a cool brown here, and then it'll be a warmer, lighter brown here. But I'm getting, I can't figure out what color the roof is. There's a little bit of discrepancy, and I think that it could have been smoothed out. You know, like, okay, you could have a bright line here to really make it defined. I'd know that that's the edge, and maybe you could, if you want to add shingles, you could do that afterwards. But I think to simplify the shape of the roof would be nice. Now, there also is the shape of the roof mimicked here, which is a little, maybe it doesn't need to be that way. Maybe the path could meander off, you know, and you wouldn't have the same triangle repeated. The only other thing I'm going to say is, well, here's a really nice aspect of it. See this light background? I mean, I assume it's trees, because probably in the Botanic Garden, I think it's the Botanic Garden, so there's no mountains there. Really nice job of the light blue giving depth to this painting. This is a little hot. Maybe I want this hot more up in this area and that cooler. Okay, but I think that the back trees really help set that off. If the water and the grass in this area were a touch darker, or maybe the shadows on the pickets and underneath were darker, this picket fence would pop forward with the building. It'd be a really nice little feature, I think. So how do we make it pop forward? We darken what's behind it, or maybe create shadows that help outline it. There's several ways to do that, but I think that that would be an important, to me, it feels like it's, let me take my markings off. It's really, squint at it. The picket fence is lost. It's lost when in the area where the water and the grass is behind it. So, and I think it's a lovely feature. So look at, I can see that this column's in shadow and these are in sun. It's really nice. I can tell that this wall is in shadow and this one's in sunlight, and these colors relate to each other more than these colors. But I guess I'm a little confused about this dark pillar. I don't know what it is. Let me take my marks off. So I just a little confused whether it's a post. It goes, looks like it goes into the garden. So, but that's pretty minor, but it's a lovely little composition, and I love the color of the flowers, and the shadows and things. So, okay. Here's another watercolor. So I love that we have so many watercolorists. So although I don't know anything about watercolor, so forgive me if I'm not giving you any good advice on how to paint watercolor. So I know this is about the Wrigley Building and the flag. It's really clear. From the perspective, it's up a little high. It looks like like my vanishing point is up here. But then there's another vanishing point down here. It's a little confusing. So I think that if I think what would happen is I wouldn't add this part. This is Howard. Is it Howard here?
Hi, yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
hi. Hi. Yeah. So I feel like the perspective's off. I feel like I'm on the 3rd floor of a building across from the Wrigley Building. So, and that's done by, you know, these lines would be, excuse me, these lines would be going out to either side, and then the other lines would match them, you know, so they'd be going way off. But I think I've got that too high. But the point is that the perspective is off, because when it's flat to eye level, that means my eye is about that height. When a horizontal line on a building is level with my eye, that's saying, okay, that's my horizon line. So it probably is more like this at that point, okay? So if the lines went down to my horizon line, then it would make me feel like I'm painting it from the where I'm standing near the water. And that means the water line might be up higher too, okay? So I think if you added more contrast between the wall and light and the wall and shadow, it would help define the sun. I see it sort of gray on this side and it's sort of yellow on this side. I think you could push it and probably do the same with this building, and maybe lose some of the windows or soften them or use a lighter color. So, but I think, and also with the trees, I think having trees come in from the side, one, you could start these trees way down here, because they're probably, they were on the river, on the Riverwalk, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so start them lower where you're standing. So your eyes would be about here at the tree or wherever they are with the tree. So they would be lower. And then think about painting it all. Well, with watercolor, you work backwards. With oil, I would paint all the dark parts first, and then the medium parts, and then the lighter parts. And don't think that you're painting leaves. Think that you're painting squint. I'm going to talk about this. I think there's a better example for this with an oil painting, but I took a workshop with Roger Dale Brown, and he had a tree projected, a nature scene projected. We had to paint inside because it was raining. It was a workshop. I don't know. Anyway, he projected a nature scene on a screen, and then he blurred it. And he said, okay, everybody paint the darkest part of the trees. Okay, just paint the darks, just paint the darks. And then he went back and he adjusted it a little bit more. And he said, okay, now paint the medium values of the trees. And then he came back, you know, he gave us 10 minutes to do that. And then he came back and he tightened the focus. He said, now paint the highlights of the trees. Now with watercolor, you might be working backwards, I don't know. But the point is think about the areas, the value areas of the tree. Don't think about the leaves. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So, all right, this is Dorothy. Okay, I'm gonna just go back. I just love that you made this, the Wrigley Building. You definitely made it the focus with that big flag. And, you know, it's a great little composition with, aside from the perspective. So anyway.
Thank you.
So this one's Dorothy's. Is Dorothy here? Okay, so it's oil, but it looks thin, you know, so it's sort of interesting because I don't know if she used a Gamsol or some sort of medium to make it thin. Do you see it almost looks like watercolor down in the water, down in this area? It's a really interesting technique, new to me. Great detail in the bridge. Look at all the, you know, look at all the detail in the bridge. You know, you have to be really looking and studying the bridge to do that. So she's got them all lined up. So here are a few comments. One, I was looking at different photos of the river, and a lot of times there's a, excuse my wavy lines, there's a shadow that goes across the river, and maybe it's lighter. Some of the photos showed a really heavy shadow, and some of them didn't show a shadow, but it would be like a darker color of the water. And I think that if you did that, if she did that under each bridge, it might help. They're going to be, excuse me, they're going to be narrower as they go back, you know, these stripes, okay? The dark blue or green stripes from the bridge. Also, so I think it would help give it depth. Also, I think some of the watercolor, which has sky color in it, would be bouncing off. She's got these lighter areas. So maybe focus on that. Like when you see a lighter color under a bridge, where is it getting the lighter color? And a lot of times it's just reflected light, okay? The only other comment is the bridge house. And I've seen this in other paintings. It's not a bridge house, it's the clock tower on a building. It's so close in color to the bridge that sometimes it looks like it becomes part of the bridge. So perhaps change the color slightly, maybe cool it off, send it back, or change it so it doesn't look so much like the bridge. Because like this one looks like it could be a bridge house sitting on a bridge, but I know it's not. So, but I love the challenge of putting in the Marina towers, and I love the energy in the water, and a great drawing on these bridges. So, okay, all right. Oh, here's one of the photos. So, so if let me just draw on this for a second here. So this is eye level. Let's assume we're all the same height, okay? So the vanishing points, all right, are gonna go, the vanishing points are gonna go way out here, all right? Way out here to eye level, all right? On these buildings. Now, as you get closer to your eye level height, there's not going to be the steepness of these lines, okay? They're still going to go out to the vanishing point. They're not going to be as steep as the ones that are higher up. Oh, excuse me. But, okay. All right. So this is Sharon Boxenbaum. Sharon, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi. Okay. Where did you do this one? Did you do it at the Botanic Garden? Oh,
No, I did one at the Botanic Garden, but that's not the one I gave today. This one is a friend of mine's backyard, which has a lake behind her garden.
Okay. All right. I was going to say it's got water. So yeah, it's a nice little landscape. I love the fact that you've got some colors in here with the flowers and a lot of greens. So now I haven't seen what this is of, so I'm just going to comment on you know, I think you're talking about mostly the tree and the flowers that are in front, right? That's what you want us to look at mostly, right?
Correct.
Okay, so my suggestion would be to simplify the tree. So you've got, you know, all these leaves in this tree. And remember how I was just talking about Roger Dale Brown? He said, paint the darks first, and then the mediums, and then the lights. So I feel like maybe the darks were put on afterwards.
They
You know,
were, I felt like there wasn't enough
Mhm.
value changes in the tree, so I came
Right.
back in with that darker color. 'Cause
Yeah,
the tree just wasn't doing it for me.
yeah,
But I see what you're saying. Maybe I should have, that was kind of at the end of the morning and it was a 90+ degree high humidity day.
right, right.
Done. But I
Yeah,
just felt like the tree looked a little flat to me, so I came in with those darks, but
right.
I should
And
have.
maybe, yeah, and so I get that, and I wondered if you did it afterwards. So think about doing the darks first, and these are very blue, which I'm all for cool leaves, but maybe make them a little greener. And then these lighter leaves up here. Now, I don't know what type of tree this is, so, but I would have a tendency to make them hotter. You have hot color back here. You know, you have hot color there, and you have a little bit here, okay? But I think you added a lot of white to your, am I wrong? Did you add a lot of white to the lightest leaves?
Yeah, I did. It was actually a tree that had very cool green leaves, not warm. Like it wasn't that
Mhm.
spring green. This picture unfortunately doesn't really represent the colors very well. Like
Yeah.
the foreground's much more intense in terms of the chroma of the lawn.
Yeah.
But
So,
the tree
but-
actually had some very blandish, you know, neutral colored greens on it. It
Mhm.
wasn't an intensely warm tree.
Yeah, it's hard. I struggle with greens all the time, but I think that maybe just think in terms of being the artist, that the hotter the areas, your eye is going to go to. So maybe you wanted hotter areas down here.
Yes.
Instead of back there. Maybe that gets cooled off. And then the tree, you know, I feel like the tree just hit the edge of the painting, whereas maybe the tree is bigger and really runs off do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it just, conveniently, the top of the tree was the top of the board you had. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like the tree was really this size.
Yeah.
But either run it off or give it air. So, but
Okay.
then one other thing, I love the colors on the flowers, and there's a shadow here, but there's not a clear definition. But maybe if the shadow hits some of these flowers, then like these would be a different color than these. These would be hot and say it's sunny, and these would be like, oh, those are in shadow. Because this is, I can't tell if this one is in shadow or not. It's a hot color.
Yeah, that's actually a bluish evergreen. It's not really a shadow.
Oh, well, what's going on with the sun here?
The sun was coming from the upper left side of the scene.
Okay, so this was in sun, right?
Right.
And well, and so there probably would be, the shadow would probably start here, and it would probably cover the white flowers. So maybe these would be a hot white and these would be a cool white. So
yeah, they're all a little bit in shade on the right side.
yeah. So maybe, yeah. And maybe you have a few that are, but maybe like these red ones, you get some in the cool area and some in the sun area, so that it tells the story, like what's really going on. Because I don't know if this is in shadow or not, this green. So I think if you defined your shadow more, either under the tree and hitting the flowers, that would help tell me what's going on in this day and make the front hotter.
Okay.
And go down the back. But another thing is, sometimes if you put a hot area, like let's say we put a hot strip back here. Okay, like let's say the shadow goes up to that line. When I'm doing still lifes, if I've got an object and I put light coming in behind it,
Mhm.
it pops it forward. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes a little strip of hot grass behind it, and
Yeah,
maybe it's not, it brings that tree forward.
okay.
So some, whether it's the whole field behind there or just a little strip,
Mhm.
it sometimes helps give depth to the painting.
Gotcha.
So, but it's a nice little composition, I get I like the fact that the tree isn't centered in the middle, it's offset, and you've got the flowers on each side of it and the water. So, yeah, so there's a lot of nice things about this painting.
Thank you.
Thanks. And this is Richard. Is Richard here? Okay, so, all right. So Richard's painting, he did a great job on this. I love the fact that he used a limited palette. Mostly I see, let me get my drawing tool. Mostly I see this blue and this orange. It's pretty cool. Think about that. Like he conveyed the city with limited colors. So, and I really like that. So the only thing, I mean, and I was gonna suggest that maybe, those dark shadows that go under, he's got a hint of them. Maybe he could have pushed it a little bit more, these dark shadows. Excuse, I can't draw a straight line. I got a tool that draws a straighter line. So, and then same here, right? These shadows that are underneath these other bridges, that might make it more interesting and give more form to the bridges. But what my eye goes to, I was looking at this, it goes to two different things. It goes to this area. I mean, it didn't go initially. I see the bridges. It goes to this area and it goes to this. Now, so what's that about? So I looked at photographs and there are these piers that run, it's the Marina for, well, I don't think it's Marina Towers. Is it part of Marina Towers? But anyway, they're Marina. I think I would just mute it a little bit because the contrast, my eye goes to it for several reasons. One, the edge, an edge will make your eye go there. Two, value difference. I guess that's most of why my eye goes there. It's a real graphic area. And I don't know that I want my eye to go there. Maybe he does want our eye to go there, but I'd rather look at the boat and the bridges. And so the other thing is, he did a good job of, remember I talked about making the tower a different color than the bridge? It's just slightly different. This is hotter and this is just a little softer in color, the tower. So, but what I find is that this green, this is a very yellow green, and I think I would have kept it in closer to the same palette, a cooler green, like maybe down here or, one of the colors over here. It just sort of stands out. Once I see it, I couldn't unsee it. But I think the whole painting is really nice. So remember, I'm looking for things to comment on, and but it's not that anybody has to change anything. So, oh, this is a photograph of Robin's painting. We'll get to it later. So what she did is she painted water in some flat land, and I think hers has a little building. We'll get to it, but I think she has a little building back here, and then she has these trees in front. So we'll get to, so remember this photograph. And this is a nocturne, and this is Shannon Burch. Is Shannon here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, Shannon, it's really a lovely nocturne. Now, I've done a few nocturnes, but not many. And here's I want to see this one in person because nocturnes are sort of like, you know, they sort of suck you in and you want to see what's going on. And I think is it very different from the photograph?
It's not very different. That's sort of my question. You know, overall, my painting is darker than I've seen most nocturnes. But I'm like, well, it was very dark.
I know. So, and then one of the things, so if you wanted to like make it pop more, but nocturnes are sort of mysterious, you know, so it sucks you in. It's like, oh, there's a little path and this is evening and I've got two sources of light. I've got the light around these buildings and I've got the light at this little lighthouse or buoy marker or whatever it is. So one of the things, you know, if I'm thinking about what would I do, it's maybe push the lights. So I was thinking, how would I do that? You've got these lights back here and they're sort of yellow and the sky is sort of purple, right? Okay, and so you could push it more yellow and more violet or purple. You could just push the lights in the darks just a little bit. Now I know it's Chicago sky, so it doesn't necessarily get that dark, but you could have pushed the sky darker and then the lights brighter. But you know, do one first and then see if you even have to touch the other. Like if you push the city lights. The other thing would be, well, I should have left the drawings on, but push the lights, but push them more to the orange side, right? And maybe this more to the blue side. I wonder what that would look like. You know, I'm just thinking about the contrast between, because they're complementary colors, right? Orange and blue, you know, yellow and purple, right? And so they sort of, I think if you had purple against yellow, it really pops. And if you have orange against blue, it really pops. So, and the same here, you could even change that to orange versus, you know, you've got all this blue down here. So, but I don't know that those are the right solution. I just think it's a lovely painting as it is. You know, I guess I think I would like to see a little bit more glow back here. But I think it's really lovely and it makes me want to see more. Like I want to see the painting in person. I don't want to see the photograph of it. It's really lovely.
Thank you. It's my first nocturne ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of them. I did do one up in Mineral Point, Wisconsin, and I actually won an award for it. But what I did, and I don't know if this is cheating, I drove by the night before and looked at it, what I wanted to paint. So I knew what I wanted to paint. And it had orange lights on the building, right? And the sky was, you know, a deep blue, like a midnight blue or a Prussian blue or, you know, a combination of ultramarine with cerulean. And I went early and blocked it in. And I knew what colors I wanted. And as soon as the light started changing and getting dark, that's when I really put the colors that I wanted into it. So I had a lot of things going on before it was dark. And then I popped the lights in and, you know, the beautiful sky color that I wanted and, you know, had seen before. So I don't know how other people do nocturnes, but, you know, that's how I did mine. But this reminds me a little bit of Brian Sindler's work. He works.
I like his work a lot. Yeah, he does the very muted nocturnes.
Right. Yeah. So it's very nice. If you did the sky darker with those lights in it, I don't know if you've seen some of Whistler's nocturnes, but you might want to take a look at Whistler's nocturnes. They're not a lot of detail, but they're really lovely. So
thanks.
You're welcome. So, okay, I'm going to move on. This is Lori's. I know Lori's here. Are you
Yes,
there?
I am.
Yeah, yeah. And I can tell this is Lori's. There's something about Lori's palette that says it's Lori, you know.
I hope that's good.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, I wonder, like my palette is sort of the same too. I mean, it's not like yours, but I have a certain palette that I work with. So I think this is really lovely. Look at this. remember how I said if you put something light behind something dark, it brings it forward? Look at that beautiful line. Lori used the light in the background to create that arch, right? And then also she used the light on the top of this bridge to pop it behind the dark trees. You see, even over here, right? A little bit of light that pops it, that makes it read. It's really subtle, but that stuff makes a difference, you know? And this is the contrast between light and dark. You know, now that I see this, you maybe even, I wonder if you had popped the water a little bit.
I
don't
was
know if that would-
wondering about that, if I should
Yeah.
pop any of the water to kind of make that bank more clearer, you know?
Yeah,
with
yeah, I
some
don't
edge
think
to
it's
it.
important. But you know, it's sort of like there's light on this bank or bush or whatever, and maybe just a little bit more sky reflected. You know, you've got sky and you've got vegetation reflected in the water. So but I don't think it's important. I don't know, you can decide. I think that this arch might be enough. So, but look at the stones, the well-defined stones. If you look, there's not a lot of stonework. There's some brush strokes there, you know, that define the stones. So, Lori, I'm going to assume you painted dark and then came over with light. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one way to do stonework and brickwork. Paint the whole area darker, like this area. She's got a sort of a mid-tone. Okay. And then come over with little light strokes that show the stones. Okay. She's got the keystones. And so that's one way to paint stones. You don't have to outline them. Just put the darker or a mid-tone or whatever works for what you're painting, and then come with a little brush strokes of stones. So now you've got these trees over here, and I like the way it looks like light is hitting it. So I'm assuming that it's casting a shadow. Is that right? On the bridge?
I think so.
Okay, here's what I'm confused about. I can tell that this dark part is shadow on the bridge. Okay. You know, this area and you know, these areas over here, they look like shadow to me. Okay. So I'm assuming they're shadows, right?
Yeah, there's a dark shadow.
Yeah, I think they might be just a little too dark. Maybe they get a little bit more reflected light, but because they've got such defined hard edges and shapes on them, it feels like, well, where's that shadow coming from? Like what's making this odd shaped shadow? Do you see what I mean? It could be the leaves. It could be the branches.
I can't remember actually. It was a really defined shadow, and I don't know actually. I don't know where it came from.
So I think what I would do, because it starts, it's like here, they're really sharp lines. So I think I'm going to assume that the tree is casting the shadow, and I might just soften it, you know, and keep it more uniform. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe it doesn't need these stripes, because it makes me question, it makes me think too much about it, unless you want to do that, you know. So that's. And where will your eye go? It goes to the area of contrast, okay? And it goes to the area of sharp lines. So my eye is focusing on this shadow. And maybe I want to see more of the form of the bridge, which I do see, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's really nice. If there's a lot of light and shadow, maybe this wall, this side of this post is a little, just a hair darker. You know, it's going to get reflected light. But I think my biggest comment would be about this shadow. But I love the way you use the light in the background to bring that form forward, and the light at the top. it's, you do a lot of nice stonework, and you did so here too. I mean, in other paintings I've seen in your fountains.
You think I should do more flowers on the left? They were like the flowers.
No.
I was afraid it would take it away from the.
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
distract
no,
it.
I don't think so, because the reality is I didn't see the flowers before. And then when I was talking, I go, oh my gosh, there's flowers there. I mean, they're nice flowers, but the nice thing is they weren't like in your face. And, you know, if you had, let's say you did all this in red and yellow flowers, I'm like, well, I wanted to look at the bridge. Don't make me look there.
Yeah,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You did a hint of them. Are they irises? They look like irises.
Yeah, they're exactly.
Yeah. And so the good news is they didn't distract me before. You know?
So another question for you. I was wondering whether I needed some highlight on the, I'm pointing, you can't see I'm pointing at, highlight on the water to the close side of the bridge, where your cursor is.
Really, right here?
Yeah, did you think I need that or not really?
Well, I think you could, you know, I think that you could probably do, you've got all the waters green. And so you've got a light sky up here. Now, any reflection isn't going to be as light as the sky, but what it would do is, remember on the river, we had all this dark part, you know, you've got it here. You did a nice job with that. And so I think you could maybe, I think it's fine the way it is. I think it's fine, it reads, but you could put a little reflection of the sky here. And the other thing you could do is, this is so dark under here, but this is a photograph, so it might be, there could be just a little reflected light under here on the bridge. Do you know what I mean? Just ever so slight. You have to be really careful on reflected light. You don't want it too much, because I'm assuming, see, there's some light down here, and it would bounce up onto that bridge. So, you know, just, do you have a photograph of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go back and see if there's any reflected light. It would help give this form. And you don't want too much detail, because it'll compete with the stones. Just
Right,
a little reflected light. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you.
thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, this is Karen Koritko. Did I say that right? Is Karen here? So, okay. So
yeah,
remember,
I'm here.
oh, okay, great. So Karen, I read off some things, well, painting water. So here's the thing about painting water, and you did some of these really nice. So this is a nice little nature scene. I mean, you've got a lot going on. I've got a path, I've got a tree, I've got some reeds over here. So I love this area in here. I wants to go there rather than the tree. But the tree's so massive, it does take, you know, and maybe that's good. Maybe my eye is going up and around and looking at this area. So when painting water, the like here, the reeds are up here, and then they're also down here. So you want the reeds to be not as bright as the ones up above. And you did that. So I can tell these are not the same as those. Okay. And so I think that maybe because you don't want as much detail, maybe even soften the edges a little bit more of these reeds down here. You don't want them quite as sharp as the ones up above, but I think you did a nice job on them. They're a little darker. They're a little bit more muted. You've got some reeds over here, and I don't have any up there. So maybe you want to think about that. Also with the sky, I see the sky reflected in the water down here. I want more of this color, because the color of the sky up here, the color down in the water is not going to be as strong as the color in the sky, and it's not going to be as bright as the color in the sky. So the sky you have up here is lighter than the water, but I see more chroma in the sky and the water. Now you only have a little bit, but I think it's important to the story. So maybe you want to push the chroma in the sky that you have up here to tell the story and tie the two together. So, okay, do you have any questions? I think it's a lovely landscape. Look at these branches. They really look like a dead tree or a winter tree. You know, it really works. And I just love these little reeds here, the reflection in the water. And this whole area here reads as water. I feel like it's translucent and yeah, great job on the water. And I just think I'd like the sky tied more to the reflection of the sky in the water. So Karen, any comments or questions?
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Beautiful.
No, thanks.
Okay, beautiful painting. Okay, hang on. Oh, my mouse. Okay. And this one's Elizabeth's. Is Elizabeth here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
So you got a lot going on here. So
yes.
It's fun painting. Did a lot with the greens. I've been to this park. I know the bridge isn't that easy to paint. So you got a lot of lovely things. You know what I liked about this? I mean, I liked a lot of things about it, but this little area up here, let's see if I can do this. Oh, I can. If I look at this little area, it reminds me of a painting from the arts and crafts era. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where they grouped, oops, let me get a different drawing tool up. They grouped branches of leaves. Does anyone know what I'm talking about with the arts and crafts era? You know,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I agree.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you did this building. Like, I'm a dark painter. I paint things dark, but look at how you did these columns, and the dark part underneath behind the columns and underneath the portico is not that dark. So it's really high key back here. And it works really well. I mean, and I'd almost like to see that as a painting by itself. So, so you've got a lot of things going. Here's one of the issues I have is that I don't know where to look because there's so much going on. It's a beautiful garden. And I suppose when you're in the garden, I mean, so you might be able to break it up into several different paintings, you know, like even just focus on this area over here with this lovely tree and the bridge. You know, that might be one painting by itself, because this this tree is competing with the other little vignette that I just showed. So, and then I talked about contrast. So you've got this dark area down here where my eye wants to go, and the light area over here. Now I know they've got some unusual rocks and things. So, you know, you're painting unusual things and I'm going, what, you know, is that rock in front of the tree or what? So, but they've got some unusual, you know, stones and things in that garden that you might, that are, that when you paint them, sometimes, you know, I go, what kind of stone is that? Or tree? So, but anyway, so I think that you just have a lot going on, and maybe you want to just use your tools, the hard edges and the detail in the leaves, like, you know, here more selectively, because I see a lot of it in this tree. And I don't know that I need it. I would just simplify. You know, I didn't notice this before, but I just love this. Look at this, the stonework down here and how it reflects. Remember how we said whatever's in the sun and reflected in the water will not be as vibrant, and you've done that here. So, you know, and then it's really nice job of the stones reflecting in the water. The only other thing I'd say is I see these reeds or flowers down here, and they create a little bit of a barrier to go into the painting. You know, it's a wall. And so you're the artist, do you need it? Or maybe you just need a few reeds, you know, placed in different areas rather that tell the story that there's some foreground. So I'm not doing a good job. I guess if you do it, you don't want the root of the reeds starting at the base of your painting. You want some coming up, you know, like we're seeing tips of them. So, but you've got a lot of nice elements here. I just, for me, there's a lot to look at. So that's really my only comment. I mean, it was, I said a lot about it, but I know the gardens are beautiful and you've got some beautiful elements. And once again, I just love the way you handle this building back here, and the leaves in front of this building. You know, I want that as a little arts and crafts painting. So.
Yeah, I have to go back. It was the first time I'd been to the Japanese garden, despite the fact I've lived here 30 years. So I want to go back and do more different views. It was a bit overwhelming what to pick to paint because it's also so attractive. So so yeah, I want to go back and pick some other, home in on some more of the details too.
Yeah, and I don't remember how brown this bridge is. It might be as brown as you painted it.
It's maybe a bit darker. I think it's not quite as bright brown, perhaps.
Yeah,
but it is brown.
I love this post compared to this light. Look at it. Looks like this post is in shadow, and compared to the light stone down here, that's a really nice contrast here. But I'm wondering is if you painted the bridge more gray, you know, softened it so it wasn't so warm, or painted it cooler and just a little lighter, and then you could go dark underneath, you know, and make it pop. So yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I know the gardens are beautiful and it's a lovely painting.
Thank you.
So thank you. Okay, these are from last week, so I'm not going to review these. They're for Errol to review. So this one's Robin's at the Botanic Garden. Robin, are you here?
I'm here.
So
salut.
Salut. Okay. So I pointed out a few elements in the photograph because you had dark trees in the front, and then you had the water, and then you had the building. I couldn't see it in the photograph, but I knew from the painting you had a little structure back there, right?
Yes, it actually was an errant brush stroke that I decided to turn into a building.
Oh, great idea. I would even focus on the building more. You know, it's like take the viewer somewhere. So maybe you want to soften all the trees in front. Because did you want us looking at the trees? What did you want us looking at?
I sort of wanted you to look at the trees, and I had this thought in mind of a circular composition. But my problem with circular composition is I end up with nothing in the middle of the circle to look at.
Right. So, okay. So you have this, right. So I'm thinking maybe, you know, move the building over a little bit, or maybe move this tree to the left and create this little area of interest that your eye can go to, you know, and soften these trees, you know, either with soften the edges, you know, reduce the color, like see, you've got a nice gray on the edge of this tree. I'll remove this so you can see it. But in this area, you've got a nice soft gray compared to this black. Is this oil? This is oil. Did you use black paint? Maybe not.
No, it's
you created it. Yeah. It's more of a purple. But so you've got this nice gray, and it looks like the grass might be reflecting up, you know? And you've got it several places. You've got this reflected light several places. And look at this. I love the detail down here. You know, I don't know what's going on, but I love it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's rocks or plants or something going on down there. So I think you could keep all the stuff in the front, soften it, maybe move the tree on the left over to the left and create something for us to look at back here. And now, do you have to really harden the building and darken it? I think that what you would do is maybe have some trees behind the building that are darker than the building so it pops forward. Maybe harden just a few edges of it, you know, a few of these arches, you know, just a little touch more, not, you know, not too much more. And that would give the viewer something to look at. The water, okay, so the things about painting water and reflections on water. So does the water go all the way around like this?
Yes.
Okay, so the water's changing colors, maybe too much. Do you know, like it looks like a swirl. So maybe keep the water flatter and calmer. And the water's going to be not as light as the sky, but probably not as much chroma. Look at all this chroma blue you have in there. So it's going to be a cousin to the sky, but not as light and not as much color as the sky. And I think if you calmed your water down so that it really flattened to like a glass pool and had this little building back there, and then maybe soften the trees and not paint as many leaves. Remember the whole thing about paint the darks first, paint the mediums. You know, when you paint a tree, squint at it so your vision, you can't really see what you're painting, and just paint the dark areas and then paint the medium areas. And then open your eyes and paint the highlights.
Okay.
So, but you've got a lot of lovely things. I love the purple in here, and those rocks. And is this tree on the left a willow tree?
Yeah, it was a willow tree. I learned about a dagger brush in Cedarburg, and I went ape with it.
Well, I think the willow part's fine, but I didn't notice that. I thought it was something else because it was like willow on the bottom and something else on the top. but I think I would move it to the left and make it a willow tree, you know, have the, you know, just like a waterfall of leaves maybe, and give us something back here to look at. Because unless you're really going to blur this back out and make it all about the front. So. But a lot of nice elements here.
Yeah, thank you. I ended up with the chroma so deep in the water because I was desperately trying to give you something to look at, give everybody something to look at, but I guess really that's not the way to go.
Well, yeah, I think, well, you did with the building, and it was really pretty cool. And I'm like, wow, that's neat. I want more of it. I want my eye to go there. I want to be in this little, you know, maybe the foreground is darker, you know, I'm under the trees I'm under these trees standing here. And then I see this little jewel in the background.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. And this one is Virginia's. Virginia's here, I know, right?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Okay. So, yeah. And this is watercolor, right?
Yes, because I just really couldn't hike with oil.
Okay, so I'm not a watercolorist. A lot of things I love about this painting. Look at these.
Actually, Stephanie, one thing is I'm doing this as a watercolor, but I want to do it in oil. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, all right. So a couple things. I love, like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to look at these people and the waterfall, right? That's where my eye goes, right? That's what you want us to look at.
So yes, but I also was thinking, gosh, I shouldn't have put those people in the two rings. I should have just left them out, and then there would. But I'm interested to hear what you think.
Well, you could, but I found it really fun. I love the orange against the green. And so see the V comes down, everything points to this whole area. So now, whether you put the people in, I think you did a great job. I love the little inner tubes. And now I don't feel like there's enough distance for these people seem small, you know, up here. I think there's somebody, is there somebody behind the waterfall there?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's not necessary. The one thing that I looked at the photograph. Do you have the photograph? Maybe I should show it.
Right next
Yeah,
to
all right.
close to them.
Here's the photograph, okay? So I see more distance between these are much tinier and this is much taller, okay? So now it doesn't mean you have to paint it exactly like that. Also, the water is more brown now with blue reflections on it. You know, these little light reflections. You don't have to paint it like that. The water reflects here, the water reflects here, okay? So let's go back to the other, oh, I got it. I have to keep switching from my drawing tool to my mouse. Okay, so now, nevertheless, so you took some liberties. You've got the reflections of the water. You've got these people drawn, painted, the inner tubes painted larger, which that's your choice. It brings my eye there. I find it sort of fun. I love the colors. I love the color against the green water. I know the water wasn't that green, but it doesn't bother me. It's so the thing that I liked about the photograph is let me get my drawing tool out, is the height of this. And so I'm like, why do your waterfalls not look like the painting? I mean, they're definitely waterfalls, don't get me wrong. So I thought about it, and I think the height, so relative to the people, I think you could have made, if you want us to really look at the waterfalls, maybe they start up here, they're higher, okay?
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and then I know you've got the widest part up here, and you show like 3 waterfalls versus, I think there were 2, maybe there's a little one in the middle that I missed. So you've got the widest part up there, but I would even darken the water down here. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. Look at how the water is here. Squint at those waterfalls.
Yeah, they're disappearing.
What?
They're
yeah, they're
disappearing,
disappearing.
yeah.
Right, when you squint at them. Now I see a little, even the action at the bottom down here is not particularly bright, you know, when I squint. So the sun is hitting the top of them and then they're in shadow. So I think that it might be more effective if you just kept the white at the top and then really made them fall down. Like I want them to be waterfalls. I want them to be falling, you know, like, so it's white up here and then it comes pretty straight, not too many ripples, you know? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
And
That's a
maybe
great
change
comment.
the size. I think one was large and one was small, right? And there might be a little bit of white up here. So, but I think that would help change the scale of this. So, but I think you did a really nice job with the cool stone back here behind the waterfall. And I like these people there. These are a little bit of a distraction, maybe because they're a little too light. They're a little, you know, if you wanted to have some people there, I guess you could, but I think that the paint silhouetted them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I know that this is a cliff. This is under, it goes under. Let me go back to the paint. So you see it's fine the way you did it. I think that if you really wanted it to look like it's a ledge that hangs over, you got to pop the light on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And make it a little dark, a little bit, a change in value, slight value underneath, and dark here a little. It's lighter, but darker than what's up above. You know, like if you need the form, but I don't think it's important. I don't think it's necessarily important to show that as a ledge. Well, you did do that. I think it's a hard one to draw, to paint. You did, you know, I guess you'd bring the the light down a little bit more, you know, maybe narrow it and it would look more like a ledge. But I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important. I love the stonework over here. So, but I think the biggest thing was just the waterfalls. Oh, the other thing is, although I love this is a little bit of a distraction.
I was having fun with that.
If you were painting this tree, I would love it. But I'm like, it's a little bit of I love the tree, you know, but I think it's just a little bit of a distraction. Okay. So maybe soften and mute what's in the background, you know, with, so yeah.
That's great. One question is, I was really happy with having a yellow sky. It was such a bright day. Is that at all off-putting that it's a yellow sky?
No, you know, because I looked at the photograph and I'm like, the water wasn't that color, but I didn't mind the yellow sky and the green water. I really didn't mind it. I think maybe if you brought the cliff up higher, there would be less yellow sky, so it really wouldn't matter. Maybe what you want to do to even pop the yellow is use more of this blue color rather than the yellow color in your trees. You know, send it, maybe even cool it and soften it more and send those trees farther back.
Yeah, wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for your comments.
Hot things come forward. Hot things come forward. Just know that they come forward.
Great, so, thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks. There it is, all right. Okay, and this is Anne. Anne, I think I saw you here, right?
Yes, I'm here, I just unmuted.
So, yeah, and this is another watercolor, so, you know, forgive my watercolor advice. But I think I like this. I've got these buildings, they're sort of soft and you know, mysterious. And so I'm just gonna make so, you know, I like the fact that, let me get my drawing tool out. I like these soft edges. I don't mind that things aren't straight on it. It might've been the photograph too. You know, I don't know. It might've been, you might've taped.
No,
like,
this was from life. This is the Jewelers Building, which is on, if you cross the Wabash Bridge.
No, I mean the photograph of your painting. So like you know, like, see, things aren't exactly vertical. I'm not too disturbed by it. You know, it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful building. Let me tell you the part I really like, and I wish you did more of it. See this glow here? See that glow? I know that that's warm light hitting the building, right? So, and then all of a sudden you've got an area up here without any paint on it, or there's a little on the right-hand side, but there's an area right here that doesn't seem to have any paint on it. So it's white. I think what I would like is that for this glow to go all the way up here, okay? You know, and maybe even you've got a little bit up here too, and it would pop that side. And you could even put a little, you've got a little detailed windows. I love that. But I think that it would, you know, maybe keep the edges a little harder just in this area with that yellow glow. And I think your eye would go there. So, but look at how wonderful this is. Look at all the windows that are here, yet they're not, right? They're just really softly put in. And I love the fact that, you know, I look at this building, I know it's a building, I know there's windows there, and they're not even in the painting. And that's what I love about painting. Even these streaks, you know, over here, they say this is a building with windows. And it's like, sometimes less is more, and it really works. So, yeah, okay. And because I love, like, you started to get more detail up here, and I think I just want this color to be up here too. And because I want to really love this part up here. I mean, I do, but you know.
Kind of completed, in other words.
Yeah, or my eye would really go there. I wouldn't have to worry about the other buildings because the other buildings you didn't really paint. I mean, you did, but they're very abstract and soft, you know, so I don't need to look at them. Even the bottom of this building, you know, there's not a lot of detail, but up here you start to hint at it and you give me some warm color to look at, and I just want it to really take my eye there. So
Good.
it's
Thank
pretty
you.
nice. Yeah. Thank you. So, okay, so this is Linda Brown's. Is Linda here?
Yes. Hi, Stephanie.
Oh, hi. So this is obviously not of the Riverwalk, and it's obviously a value study, right? A value oil study. So it's very soft edges. This is a great example of, look at how the soft edges of the trees back there, the soft edges of the trees up here, the soft edges over here. It's just a really good example. Like, this is a value study, but it really shows what soft edges do. Now I'm gonna use I'll just use this color. Remember, I gave the example before, is if you put a bright color behind, let's just pretend that this value is here, okay? And if I pop it over here, it makes the tree come forward. Do you see that?
Yes.
So that's one example of how to bring an object forward. So you hinted at it, you started it, but you didn't carry it through. And that would be one way to bring the tree farther forward. The other thing is, I would suggest, it sounds like you want to stay with value studies, right?
Well, eventually I'd love to do color, but I feel like for my growth, my learning curve right now.
Well, try. What I'm going to suggest is that you take, is this burnt sienna?
I think it is.
Okay, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And this is what I learned from Michael Workman. So I haven't given credit to all the people I've heard things from, but you know, Roger Dale Brown, Michael Workman, Scott Tallman Powers, Michael Van Zyl. So Michael Van Zyl, all right, I'll give him credit, was this, you know, when you put the line, the light behind an object, it brings it forward. So Michael Workman would use I like to use transparent earth red and olive green and maybe ultramarine blue to block in. But he would do his paintings with a lot of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And with that, he could push something to be cooler and he could push something to be warmer. So, and I've done portraits with those two colors, and it's amazing. You look at it and you think it's a color portrait. You don't think you're limited to two colors. Now you could add white to it too. So ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white. And what you'll start to do is get a little bit more introduction to temperatures with that. So like the tree might have more blue in it. This color might have more, even though it would be a lighter value, more burnt sienna in it. Do you know what I mean? So don't think of the color of the object necessarily. Think of whether it's cool because it's warm light, cool shadow, or vice versa. And even here, you know, you could have some very cool darks with the ultramarine, and then you could get into your medium values and have a little bit more burnt sienna in it, but lighter value. And then maybe your third value looks like what you have here. Okay. So that would be an easy way to start introducing yourself to color.
That's a great suggestion.
But I like the composition. I think, let's see, I like the composition. I think that this is the shadow of the tree, right? And you've got some grass here. You might think, I mean, the shadow's not going to be hard, but it might be a little harder here than here, which you have. So, yeah. So, but it's really lovely. So.
Thank you so much. Great suggestion.
All right, thanks. Okay, is Kim here? Kim Abadi? Okay, so I'm going to talk about Kim's, even though she's not here. So this was done in Cedarburg, and it was her first plein air of the season, she writes. Okay, so I love the composition with the sign, and it was done Schroeder House. Is that a hotel or a house there? If you look closely, she has squiggles in here that she made with a sharp object. And I sort of like that. You know, even when you look at the sign, she wrote in, you know, she's got some details here that were written with the sharp object and even in the fence posts. And I sort of find that fun. And even in the leaves over here. So I sort of like that. Now, what I'd like to see in this photo is, in this painting, is obviously the focuses of the sign. I think if she had darkened the background, you know, behind this sign, it would push it forward. You know, so if I made, let me just try this color. You know, if maybe I can make my line width bigger. So, you know, if I darken this, it would really pop forward. You know, I don't want to pick arbitrary colors. They'd have to reflect what's behind it. But then this sign would come out, and even on this side, you know, so you start to see the sign popping. So I think she could get the sign to pop, and it feels, painting feels a little milky to me. It could be the way it was photographed. I'm not sure. Like the sign itself, she could pop the colors. But that's about it. I don't mind it being sort of soft. Like it's sort of mysterious. You know, she's with all these soft leaves in here, and it's ethereal in a way. So, but it's very interesting. And then the one more thing, I see a picket fence here and I see a picket fence there, and they're two different colors. And based on the temperature, like she didn't use a lot of blue in this painting, but based on the temperature, it's not telling me that one is in sun and one is in shade. I'm not sure what's going on. So I might keep those consistent in color and change the color of the posts in front. They wouldn't be this dark, but it looks like these, maybe they're built into the fence. But anyway, I would either make these the same or differentiate them to tell me more about the story. Okay, because I don't know if this is sloping down, if it's connected to the post or not. Okay. But I think it's an interesting composition and stuff. Okay, here we have Mary's. Mary, you're here, I know.
I'm here.
Okay, so this was done on the Riverwalk, and I'll tell you what I really love about this painting. I really love the reflection of the building here. I like this side more than this side, but I think they're not too far off. But do you know what I mean? It's just, I really like, it says, oh my God, that's the Marina Tower reflected in there. And it's really important to do reflections in the water. The buildings will reflect. Now, if they reflected that much, I don't know. You could probably soften it down here. You know, the farther away, the softer the reflection's going to be. But I really like it under the bridges. So anyway, painting in water. Okay, so the reflections are not going to be as dark as the building. Maybe these are, but I don't seem to mind them here. So the lights are going to be darker and the darks are going to be lighter than what I see in the actual building. Okay. The sky is probably not going to be lighter. I mean, the sky and the water is probably not going to be as light as the sky, the real sky. It's probably not going to have as much chroma. So this is a little darker. It's got a lot of chroma. It's okay. You've got the green going. I know the river was, our river's pretty green. So my comment, okay, and you went and you shortened this boat because the boat, can I say this, Mary? The boat was hitting the bridges.
Right.
Visually, it was hitting the bridges. I don't know where it was, but it was hitting. And so Mary went and lowered it. So, and you might even be able to bring the boat rather than in line with the bridge. Maybe the boat starts back here, so, oops. And there's, maybe the boat maybe has a little bit more space. And that way it's not competing with this shadow from the bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just change it so it's a little in front. And that way you could even pop part of the boat in the hot sunlight and make it really hot and the rest of it cool. So the color of the water, I would probably tend to make this shadow under the bridge more. I know you've got a pretty green here, so you have to decide what color your water is. You've got a lot of it a light green, and then you've got sky reflections in it. I think you could probably make it green, but this is a little too olivey, I think. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe more of a blue-green because it's going to have some sky color in there. And shadows are a little cooler. This is a pretty warm green. So, but look at a great job with the architecture of the bridge. You came back and put the sign in, the lettering on the sign. And the nice part about that is that it broke up that mass. One thing I would do possibly, like some of this bridge is in sunlight, and I'd probably make it a little hotter rather than pinker. I know it's an odd, look at that, but if you squint at that, but I know it's an odd color to work with. I mean, the bridges are an odd color in reality. They're sort of this burgundy rust color. And so it's hard to paint them light without getting them too pink, but maybe go a little orangier where it's hitting the light. Yeah, and I would even, when you do your shadows, even take them back to these bridges back here. I think you did. Oh, all right, maybe I need to use my straight one, but take them back to the bridges back here, and just a little bit more. But I think you've shown us the series of bridges and the depth. It's really nice. Okay, I got two more things to say. Because I've painted the Marina towers before. What I like to do is cut into the building. It's a little tedious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'm drawing sort of sloppily, but cut into it, like with the sky color, to give it those ridges, the parking level and the apartment level. And I think, and you might not even have to do all of them, but if you do a few of them, like, cutting in here or cutting in here, it might help tell the story that that's the Marina towers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then one more thing. I'm not sure what this is. It's probably a building in the background, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think it's important. I think you could make it a building, but I wouldn't have it be so white. And I'd probably soften this detail too. I wouldn't have it be so white, because squint at that, or not squint, but just stare at that area. This is a little darker blue than this. I don't know if it's building or a white tower with sky on the side. I don't think it's important. I just don't think it's important. If it's a building, maybe just draw it here, and then the value changes in this whole area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really soft, really soft. So, but yeah, I don't have a problem with the railing. I know it's, one of the thoughts was maybe the railing is a barrier. I don't have a problem. It says, here I am standing and looking at the bridges, and it works. So anyway, any comments or questions, Mary, or
No,
anything
thanks.
you like about it?
Well, I have repainted the towers like 3 times and and the railing, I think no, and that your comments about the building behind the towers is interesting because that's pretty close to the coloring. I just didn't put any definition into them. So
what do you mean?
That blue-green building that's behind the towers.
Oh,
so
okay.
I really understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it just looked like a white stripe, and I'm like, I know that's probably a building, but I didn't know what the story was, without seeing the photograph. And even if I saw the photograph, it's still, because I see it down here. It doesn't, this is sort of interesting. I see it down here, which is sort of interesting, and it's greener. But there it looks like it's just part of the sky with a white pole or something. I don't know. Yeah, but I love the way you handled the water. You make it loose, the reflections. It's sort of cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Helpful.
Yeah. All right. So, oh, here's mine. Is this mine? Oh yeah, it is. It's funny. So, one thing I can see is it's not straight. I could probably straighten it out. But let me just tell you what I tried to do, okay? I just tried to, I wanted to make this hot and make this cooler. I think I changed the value. I don't think this reflects the coolness of the shadow. I think this is okay. I mean, I could have used a straight edge and made them straighter, but I think it says this is the Tribune Tower without saying too much about it. I chose to soften this back building. Do you see how I just lost the edge completely? And I was okay with it. I didn't need to say a lot about those buildings behind. Anyway, and I put this building in and I tried to make it not important. Maybe it's a little too brown. But I have a tendency to put too many things that are too blue in there. But the one thing I'm going to say about flags is and this I learned from Michael Van Zyl, not about painting flags, but about using red. I remember him painting a bottle of Maker's Mark as a demo for class. And I thought, how is he, do you know what I'm talking about, Maker's Mark? The cap is like this red waxy thing. And he painted it, and on the brightest red, and it was cool light, but on the brightest red, you'd think that he was going to put white in it. He put absolutely no white in it. He made the rest of the cap a darker red. I don't know what he used, whether he used alizarin crimson or transparent earth red or what he used. But then when he put the brightest part of the red cap on, he used straight CAD, no white. And if you use white in your CADs, they look really pink and they'll get really cool. So just think about how you can make your reds as bright as they can be without adding white. And in my case, what I did is I used straight CAD, and then I used alizarin crimson in the darker areas. So it was just that how they compare to each other. And my whites here have a little bit of yellow in them. I painted a little gray for the darker parts of the white, and then I added a little bit of yellow to the whites. So I think we have one more painting here. It's Errol's. Errol, are you there? He's down the hallway. So, okay. So this is Margie's Candy. It's near where we live. And he painted it with the west sun, because I know this, east sun. So he painted it in the morning. So let me get my little drawing tool. So I know that the sun is hitting this building. Look at that. Look at the shadow. Okay. He's got cool shadows, warm light. I know that that's an awning. Those awnings stick out because of the shadows. So a lot of times you make something stick out. You can even see the shadow line here. You make something stick out by creating shadows. You know, the paint's just flat. Look at the shadow underneath this sign. I know that yellow sign is popping off the building. It says so here too. We see it wrap around and it's popping out. But even when I'm looking at the flat side of the building, I know that that's popping out. So, and look at how soft and light the background is. It takes me back. You know, I can see the L tracks. They're not important, but I know they're there. Let's see, the people, there's one in sun here, and it looks like there might be one in front of them in the shadow. You see that little person there? The cars are in shadow. There's a little bit of light on top, reflected light. So it's a sunny day. Look at the blue sky. So, okay. So if I'm going to say anything, all right, here it is. Errol, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I haven't looked at this painting
Take
before.
it easy.
No, yeah. Okay. So here's what I would do. Here's my comment is okay, we've got shadow and the light's coming down in this direction, I think, or maybe front to back. All right. Okay. I don't know if the shadow, if it's coming from the south or coming from
I know what you're gonna say, the shadow on the guy, right?
Well, yeah, you could put a little shadow on the guy and
true.
then on the post too.
That's true.
Yeah. And okay, this is really minor. I would square off this edge here. It's really minor. And then maybe soften this edge here. It's sort of a hard edge between the color and the contrast and the edge quality. My eye, let me take my things up. My eye wants to go up there, but maybe just soften that. But what I like is, I like the sky. Look at it's blue. There's more clouds I can see. There's trees. It's nice job in the sky, nice job in the shadows. I love the color of the building because it's hard sometimes to paint a light building in sun without adding too much white. I sometimes try not to paint with white at all. So try that sometime. Now, I might use Naples yellow, but try to paint something in sunlight without using white and use CADs. So anything you want to say about this, Errol?
No, just for, you know, just a suggestion, not in this paint. Those are good suggestions you had. But, you know, I'm trying to, I've been working on paintings today, and I'm trying to put more clouds in. You know, for 15 years, I've been afraid of clouds, and I'm starting to put more clouds in. But that being said, the sky is a bowl, and if you look at a sunny sky, it'll be darker blue at the apex at the top and gets lighter at the bottom, you know, and usually pinker. So I think, you know, I pretty much got that, but maybe I could have had it even a little darker. There's like a hard between the light blue and the lighter blue or the pinkish color halfway down the sky, you know, there's kind of like a hard line there. So just a little bit of softening. That's all.
Yeah.
And then maybe a little softer on the L tracks too. That color is kind of a wonky color.
Yeah, it's warm. It's but it's not so bad because it's farther back.
But I mean, I got lazy. I just didn't pay attention. You know, I mean,
I just noticed something.
No,
What? What's this up here?
Where? Stoplights.
Okay, maybe you could just, well, there's some down here and maybe there are up there, but I think I would just put a stroke down for them, you know, like rather than have too many of them. Do you know what I mean? I start to see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something. But I like the ones down here.
Don't look so hard.
Okay, all right. All right.
Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, thanks. I think I'm done.
Stephanie, that was terrific.
Oh,
And thank you for doing that. And I've now made it so we can all see each other, but that was a terrific critique, and you've got all kinds of thank yous in here and for the great comments. Very
well,
Great. It was really great, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
well, thanks for listening to me. And remember, you know, you are the artist and you paint what you want to paint. And but it's helpful to learn tips. I mean, I'm sharing the tips that I learned along the way with a lot of this stuff. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thanks for taking such great care with all the comments too. That
Yes,
really
yes,
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
A lot of chats. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm
Thanks,
gonna read the
everyone.
chat. Okay.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank you very
everyone.
much, Stephanie.
Bye,
right.
thank you.